Welcome to this online presentation for governors, which focuses on the governor's role in establishing a clearly defined ethos statement for the school and considers the responsibilities of governors in maintaining the school's ethos by examining key relationships within the school community and how these can be fostered and developed. My name is Heather Mackenzie and I am one of the school's support officers working for CSSC. My colleague Derek Harkness will also be contributing to this development session and he will be taking you through part 2 of the presentation. The purpose of this development presentation is to set the scene by exploring the governor's role in establishing an ethos statement and considering key relationships within the school community and how these can be fostered and developed. In part 1 of our presentation, we will be exploring the fundamental role of ethos within controlled schools. School ethos is extremely important. It is the foundation stone to all aspects of school life. It impacts on school vision, mission, and is reflected in school values on a day-to-day basis. I want to take a few moments to just remind you of how ethos underpins and directs the life of a school, and is fundamental to the direction, our vision and mission of the school. Firstly, vision. In essence, the vision statement does exactly what it says on the tin. It encapsulates what you, the school community, aspire the future of the school to be. It is a declaration of your future goals for the school. A vision statement is not the same as a mission statement, however they are interconnected, because to realise your vision, you must think about the actions required to achieve it. Gabriel and Farmer, authors of How to Help Your School Thrive Without Breaking the Bank, write, "A vision is your school's goal, where you hope to see it in the future. The mission provides an overview of the steps planned to achieve the future. A vision is concise and easy to recall, whereas a mission is lengthier and more explanatory in nature." The mission statement for your school will reflect what you aim to do each day to achieve and realise the vision. And Gabriel and Farmer go on to say, the mission is the wind to bring you to your desired harbour. But vision and mission should be interlinked with and reflective of your school ethos. Putting the ethos, vision and mission into action on a day-to-day basis will be your values. These are the values that you as governors, school staff and the entire school community want to be reflected in all aspects of school life: teaching and learning, policies and procedures, strategic decisions. They are values that form your ethos and establish a learning environment that is conducive to everyone's needs and abilities. They are the values that you want the pupils to be taught, experienced and modelled as they attend your school. They will help the pupils become the citizens of tomorrow and contributors to their communities. Important as it is to display your ethos, vision, mission and value statements, they are so much more and should be implemented on a day-to-day basis. The potential they have is extremely powerful as they can lead to positive change and most of all create the school that embraces each and every one of its pupils and provide them with the opportunities to be the best they possibly can be by nurturing and encouraging every child as they traverse whatever educational pathway is right for them to meet their needs. The following is an extract from Every School a Good School, a Guide for Governors, published by Department of Education for Northern Ireland in 2019. The Board of Governors has an important strategic role to play in the management of the school. This is to help the school principal and staff provide the best possible education for all of the pupils. Governors bring their experience, life skills and common sense to this task. In everything they do, they should aim to raise expectations of what can be achieved by all pupils and strengthen the involvement of parents and the community. So one of the roles of the boards of governors is to manage the school with a view to providing the best possible education and educational opportunities for all of the pupils. This involves setting the strategic direction for the school, taking corporate decisions in relation to the statutory functions of the Board of Governors. This will involve 5 distinct aspects and roles for governors, and we have highlighted 2 of those which involve the ethos of the school and the vision and aims or mission of the school, as we mentioned in the previous slide. The governor's role. This slide perhaps illustrates your role as governors a little clearer, and whilst this is the order that the Department of Education for Northern Ireland has placed your role and responsibilities in, we would change the order slightly, as ethos is fundamental moving forward for any school. A distinct element of our support at CSSC is around the development of an ethos statement for an individual controlled school. This process has been outlined in the previous presentation and makes use of the CSSC Ethos Self-Evaluation Toolkit. Whilst the process can be undertaken by schools themselves, CSSC, as part of its Ethos and Leadership programme, will facilitate this through an ethos development session at the school. We encourage as many of the school stakeholders to be involved in this process in order to secure a broad spectrum of input during the discussion. It has been our experience that the conversations held as part of this process are invaluable, adding a richness to the dialogue and knowledge about your school, which encompasses all the staff and the history of your school community. The end result of this process is not only an ethos statement, but one which enjoys a collective ownership from the stakeholders. Following the collective and inclusive process of agreeing an ethos statement, there are 2 further sessions which we can facilitate with the school. The Vision, Mission and Values session assists the school looking in more detail at the values identified within Session 1 and how these can be explicitly promoted within the school, as well as developing vision and mission statements for the school. The final session is entitled Embedding Ethos and provides the opportunity for the school to identify key policies in which the ethos of the school should be reflected and will ultimately impact on the practices of the school. It is important to state that this process could take up to 3 years, as any change and improvement needs time to embed and to ensure that ownership is gained across all stakeholders. The next 2 slides demonstrate how some schools have developed and stated their ethos in an explicit manner. These statements are drawn from the school websites and will give all stakeholders and the wider community a sense of what the school values and promotes. These ethos statements are presented visually and may simply state what the values and qualities are in a simplified, basic, but more visual format. School literature or the narrative on the website may elaborate on these in more detail, but in this format, you have an idea of what the school values and considers important. These statements contain more prose and spell out in more detail what the school stands for and values. Although there are common themes, you can also see how each school has adopted particular areas to emphasise what is important to them as a school and are reflective of who they believe their school to be and what makes it distinct and relevant to the community it serves. The purpose of using these statements are simply to illustrate the need for a starting point, a statement of what your ethos is. The development of ethos in your particular school may be something which has happened as an implicit process and potentially over a number of years and under the guidance of several leaders and boards of governors. It is something that you are aware of and endorse, but maybe you have never explicitly spelt out what it should be or how it should be gone about. A collective sense of ownership from all the school stakeholders community is vital for the statement to succeed and be more than just a collection of words. Even more important is how the statement or values are lived out and seen in the daily life of the school.
In this part of the presentation, we're going to consider the ethos of relationships and how governors can influence and play an active role in this area. We're going to take some moments just to consider the aspect of relationships from a governor's perspective. Relationships will form a key element of the ethos of your school. It is widely recognised that one of the key factors in effective learning and development is the establishment, nurturing and development of positive relationships. Whilst we may acknowledge that the fundamental relationships for schools is the relationship between the teacher and pupil, it is also essential that the relationships at all levels are seen to be working constructively towards the common ethos, vision and aims of the school, and ultimately the realisation of the potential development of all the school pupils. What Sue Ruffy emphasises here as being central to the well-being of students and teachers can therefore also be applied for all staff, including governors, and that relationships form a vital part of forging a strong, positive ethos for the school. So what might we expect when we think about positive relationships, and how will governors play their part? This slide shows you some of the people that you'll be forming or have formed relationships with to try and achieve that positive school ethos. This is not a comprehensive list, and there are lots of subdivisions within that list. As governors, the relationships you form will not only include the principal and senior staff, but will include all of the stakeholders to a greater or lesser degree and at various times. For some of you, you will be parents, possibly past pupils, representatives of the business community, community leaders, church representatives, and so forth. The knowledge, experience, and skills that you bring to your role are therefore important as you contribute to the development of the school and ensure that a broad perspective of views are heard in the course of formulating strategic plans and making important decisions. You are therefore a key part of the relationships within the school community and the wider community the school serves. You will already have an established network of relationships prior to you commencing as a governor or as a longer serving governor. These relationships can contribute to your role and may indeed have been influential in you deciding to take on the position of a governor. You will also bring your personality to the position as you begin to form new relationships or develop existing ones. That in itself would be a whole different development session, but suffice to say that personality can play a very important role in the forming and developing of relationships at any level, including governors. These are some of the qualities and values drawn from previous CSSC Governor Development sessions, which we believe reflect at least some qualities and values espoused within our controlled school family. Keeping these qualities and values in mind, I want to illustrate how they can produce outcomes which affect your school in a positive manner and help foster an ethos which promotes inclusivity and a team approach moving forward. This is by no means a comprehensive list, and there are other elements which could be added. But let's see what outcomes may result from displaying these qualities and values. These are some suggested outcomes from actively employing the qualities and values listed on the previous slide. Displaying interest produces engagement through actively listening to others. Valuing staff, pupils, parents and community helps foster a sense of worth. Whilst being honest within school relationships presents accurate pictures of what is happening and what needs to be done. An open approach to what lies ahead, both in opportunities and challenges, offers clarity of purpose for what needs to be done and who needs to do it. Good communication results in informed staff who know what is happening and who is responsible. An approachable attitude enables others to express opinions with a degree of confidence. And inquiring relationships will help develop agreed approaches as ideas and thoughts are swapped between the team. An engaging attitude reinforces that sense of belonging and being part of the school family. And as trust is demonstrated, then confidence is built in the capacity of others to grow and develop as they exercise their abilities. The encouragement to question from a positive development perspective produces a strong evidence base and confidence in what is being changed. And the capacity to display empathy demonstrates a relationship of understanding and appreciation for others. And the ability to offer healthy, constructive challenge produces a sense of accountability and desire to perform to high standards. As we approach the end of this governor development session, we're going to focus briefly on the key relationship that is formed between yourselves as governors and the principal. Sue Platt, Development Officer in the Norfolk Governor Support Service, writes in the School Governors Building Relationships programme about the importance of the relationship between the principal and governors and how this can determine the level of involvement by governors in the strategic role of raising standards within their school. So how do you as governors contribute and form the relationship with your principal? What might that relationship look like and what elements might go towards forming it? Considering some of the elements we've already thought about in relation to what positive outcomes we hoped for and the qualities and values we felt were important to create those outcomes. These examples are borrowed from Integrity, the 5 key responsibilities of every school governor, coaching and leadership development. These can also be seen as directly or implicitly within the roles of governors as set out within the Department of Education Northern Ireland and EA guidance. This list, however, should not be seen as definitive nor mutually exclusive, as these elements cross over and blend into your various roles as a governor and only form part of the picture, because we know with any relationships there are multiple factors and nuances which can come into play. Making decisions and the aspect of vision, ethos, values, and strategic direction are key decisions and influences that you'll bring to bear on the life of a school. As members of the school community, you're in an excellent position to influence and assist with decisions around ethos, vision, and values. You can aid in the consultation process and aim to be inclusive in obtaining as many views and opinions as are reflective of the community your school serves. This will be the bedrock for your school, and you'll appreciate that the foundations of any building are vital to its longevity. You play an important role in decision making within the life and direction of the school. This can be viewed as a shared relationship and one in which you may be guided and directed by the principal, but your input, opinions, and guidance is viewed as a key component in the decision making process. This is not just restricted to the strategic direction of the school, but cuts across into finance and budget, human resources, admissions and enrolment, child protection, to name but a few. Who looks after the boss? This is an increasing area that governors are having to consider, even more so in the present climate. This is a key relationship aspect between the governors and the lead teacher who you have placed in charge of the school as your representative. The appointment of a principal is a significant investment on your behalf as governors, and it is one that governors will have given time and consideration to as they seek to address the needs of the school. As this relationship develops and matures, there's a genuine sense that you have a responsibility towards the person you have placed in charge of the school to ensure that they are being looked after. You could identify it as a caring relationship, and quite often it is the principal who's last in the order of care and well-being. It is they who will be carrying the weight of decision making and accountability on a day-to-day basis and dealing with the pressures that comes with that. You have a leadership role as governors to ensure that the principal's well-being is considered as part of the job that they undertake. The relationship ethos that you promote here is one of support and also professional development as you seek to assist the principal to be the very best that they can be. However, this can also be a two-way process, with governors ensuring that they too are looked after and nurtured in their role. Principals want the best from their governors, and it is important that they too feel valued and nurtured in the important role that they play within the life of a school. So it is a two-way process. Control or collaboration. This is the aspect of working alongside and with the principal, or of either party telling the other what they're doing. It's essentially a cooperative relationship and supporting the idea of a team approach, and we are in this together. Interventions and advice can be useful and even necessary at times. As governors, you may have some expert knowledge or you may have local knowledge which will be informative in making decisions or establishing direction for the school. Working together and alongside each other as a cohesive team presents a strong front with united goals and purposes centred on the education and well-being of pupils. This relationship encourages values such as honesty, openness, integrity, as some of the aspects you would not only expect to see in your principal, but should be reflected in how the school is governed. The wisdom for governors will be knowing when they are being helpful and constructive as they collaborate together, or if it's regarded as interfering and misleading with obvious power struggles occurring within the team. So, no hidden or personal agendas, but transparency and vision that it has the pupil as central to the purpose of the school. Striking a balance is along a similar vein, but is the aspect of governance of knowing when to back the decisions and direction of the school, while also being prepared to ask the honest and sometimes hard questions. This relationship aspect doesn't have to be confrontational, but quite often it's where relationships can deteriorate if not handled carefully. This could be viewed as a more professional relationship because you may be viewing the school and its operations from what needs to be done pragmatically as well as professionally and legally. Challenge does not necessarily have to be framed in the context of "I don't agree." It can be "Is there a different or an alternative way?" or "Have we thought about?" or "What does the management scheme say?" Approaching issues together with a collective approach is more likely to gain a consensus and move decision making forward. At times, not everyone agrees with the decisions, and that's okay too. It's not the fact that you disagree, but the manner in which you disagree. The concept of team and working together is an essential element in this relationship, and gaining the capacity or consensus to move forward together on the important key issues for the school. Asking the questions again is linked to the idea of accountability and being answerable as governors to key management and leadership decisions that have to be considered in the life of the school. Too much power along with too little accountability promotes the potential for a false impression or a picture that maybe masks genuine underlying issues. Governors are entitled to ask questions, and it is reasonable for a principal to expect questions to be raised and not necessarily take what they are saying at face value. To be honest, again, it's not the asking of the questions that can be the problem. It's how they're asked that may pose the issue, or indeed how you're answering them. This relationship requires not only confidence in what is being presented to the governors as an accurate picture or account, but also requires a great deal of trust from both parties, principal and governors. I would therefore place this as the trusting relationship. Accurate and truthful messages are not always palatable ones, and as humans we tend to look for someone to blame if it appears to be going wrong. A good principal and governors will establish that strong relationship based around trust and openness with each other, establishing a leadership ethos that will lead to solutions and seek to address shortfalls. These are 5 basic areas where I've highlighted aspects where you as governors contribute to the leadership role within your school and the relationships that you form with the principal. You may identify with some of these or indeed have additions that you feel may have been omitted. They are not exhaustive, just some of the key aspects which we have encountered as principals working alongside governors. The significance of the relationships we form within the school environment have implications not only for all who work there, but most importantly for those who are learning there. As Dr. James B. Comer says, no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. Sometimes we just need to remember that this is about children and trying to ensure we do the very best we can for them. This is a list of the current CSSC school support officers. On the CSSC website, there is a facility to check which officers are assigned to your school. If you contact the CSSC office on 028 9531 3030 or info@csscni.org.uk, the admin team will also be able to direct you to the correct person. If we can be of any support in any way as you embark on or continue on your school ethos journey, please do not hesitate to get in touch.